Southwest Airlines once represented a revolution in air travel. A company that put people over profits, hospitality over hierarchy, and simplicity over bureaucracy. Its story began not in a boardroom, but on the back of a cocktail napkin. In 1966, the vision was clear. Connect the heart of Texas with quick, affordable flights between Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston. By cleverly operating only within Texas, Southwest sidestepped federal regulation, cutting through red tape most airlines couldn't escape. This maverick spirit became the foundation of its enduring culture. At Dallas Love Field, the airline's first home, Southwest's earliest leaders, like the legendary Herb Kelleher, cultivated a culture of camaraderie and innovation. Employees were invested in the mission, and in turn, the airline invested in them. No layoffs, no class distinctions, no nickel and diming. Bags flew free. Fares were simple and transparent. Planes made lightning-fast turnarounds, and the workforce was famously cheerful, embodying the LUV in the company's stock ticker. For decades, these choices paid off. Southwest posted profits for 45 consecutive years, even as rivals struggled or collapsed. By the early 2000s, the airline's success was undeniable. It outperformed industry giants like Delta and American, becoming the largest U.S. domestic carrier by passenger volume. Its growth was fueled not by mergers or flashy international routes, but by a relentless focus on operational efficiency and customer service. The Southwest way meant no nonsense, just reliable, friendly, affordable flights. But the airline industry is unforgiving, and even icons are not immune to change. The COVID-19 pandemic hit the entire sector hard, grounding fleets and decimating revenue. Yet Southwest's domestic-only network allowed it to bounce back faster than most. As international travel faltered, Americans took to the skies at home, and Southwest rode the wave. By 2021, the company seemed to have weathered the worst, returning to profitability while rivals were still in recovery mode. Then, in December 2022, everything changed. As Winter Storm Elliott battered the country, Southwest faced an unprecedented operational crisis. More than 15,000 flights were canceled in just a matter of days. Airports became makeshift camps for stranded passengers, families sleeping on terminal floors, travelers waiting for answers that never came. But this wasn't just a problem of bad weather. Beneath the surface, years of underinvestment in technology and infrastructure were exposed. While competitors relied on modern, automated crew scheduling systems and outsourced critical operations like de-icing, Southwest clung to its aging, in-house programs. SkySolver, the company's internal crew management tool, simply couldn't handle the volume and complexity of the disruption. The result was chaos. Flight crews were sent on illogical, circuitous routes, sometimes showing up at the wrong airports, unable to connect with their planes or passengers. Management lost track of where employees were, making even basic logistics nearly impossible. Passengers, meanwhile, were left on hold for hours, with little information and even less recourse. The meltdown cost Southwest more than $1.5 billion in lost revenue, fines, and compensation. The U.S. Department of Transportation levied a record $140 million penalty, the largest in its history, for consumer protection failures. The brand, once synonymous with reliability and care, was now a cautionary tale. Southwest attempted to make amends. The airline offered 25,000 frequent flyer points to affected travelers and later launched a $90 million compensation program for customers delayed by airline-caused issues. But for many, the trust was already broken. The crisis had exposed not just technical weaknesses, but a deeper erosion of the principles that once set Southwest apart. Into this storm stepped Wall Street. In June 2024, Elliott Investment Management, a powerful hedge fund, announced it had acquired an 11% stake in the airline. The message was clear. Drastic change was needed. Elliott called for new leadership, fresh board members, and sweeping operational reforms. The company, they argued, had grown complacent. Profits were down, costs were up, and the unique Southwest model no longer worked in a brutally competitive market. Soon, the changes came fast. CEO Gary Kelly retired early, and 5 Elliott-backed directors joined the board. For the first time in its history, Southwest announced layoffs, cutting roughly 15% of its workforce. The beloved policy of 2 free checked bags was scrapped, replaced with a $35 fee. Open seating, a quirky hallmark for decades, was set aside in favor of paid upgrades and assigned seats. Premium and basic fare options were introduced, mirroring the strategies of legacy carriers. Red-eye flights were added, and the validity of flight credits was restricted to 1 year. The airline began listing its fares on third-party sites and even entered a code-share partnership with Icelandair. Many of these changes were arguably necessary for survival. The airline industry had changed, and Southwest's low-cost, single-class model was under pressure from all sides. Fuel prices, labor costs, and competitive dynamics forced difficult decisions. But in the rush to appease investors and restore profitability, the intangible assets that built Southwest's brand, its culture, its people, its sense of purpose, were quietly eroded. The faces that once defined the company, leaders who had risen from within, employees who felt like family, began to disappear. Outside executives from rival airlines took their seats at the table. Layoffs shattered the promise of job security that had stood for decades. The LUV in Southwest's ticker symbol, once a badge of honor, now seemed like a relic from another era. Passengers felt the difference, too. Where once they found a uniquely welcoming experience, hospitable, humorous, and hassle-free, they now encountered policies and fees that looked like every other airline. The legendary loyalty of Southwest's customers faded, replaced by frustration and disappointment. What happened to Southwest Airlines is not just the story of one company's fall from grace. It's a warning about what is lost when principles are sacrificed for profit, when culture is treated as a cost center, and when the relentless pursuit of efficiency erases the very qualities that make a brand beloved. As a Southwest plane lifts off into the sunset, the image is bittersweet. The legacy endures, but the spirit has changed. This is not just the story of an airline, but a cautionary tale for any business. Greatness is not guaranteed, and loyalty, once lost, is nearly impossible to regain. Change may be inevitable, but the way it is managed determines whether a company soars or stumbles. Southwest Airlines will always be remembered for what it once was: a trailblazer, a family, a symbol of what happens when you put people first. The question now is whether any airline can ever recapture that magic, or if, in chasing the bottom line, the industry has left its best days behind.